country. You don't like our flag. What makes you think that we give a damn about that? There's a million pissed off rednecks just like me. And we're all sick and tired of this bullshit on TV.
Happy Hour is a Tell It As It Is series. You may hear some profanity, things you might find offensive, but that's how I am. I have no filter and no problem telling my point of view. I don't discriminate. I'm simply an asshole to everybody.
Hello. Welcome to episode 13 of Pappy Hour. Pappy is here to bring you hashtag Pappiness. Alright, that was weird. Okay, so that was my, I guess you could say my Barry White voice. But thank you. Welcome back. Episode 13. I'm excited. I want to thank you again, everybody that listens every week. It means a lot to me. And, you know, considering that our fan base is growing so much and so fast, it's overwhelming for me to think that there's people that actually want to listen to me talk. Now, I'm going to be changing some things with the format of the show, you know, in the next few episodes or so. You know, we're going to start talking a little bit more about not just news things, but things that I think people should hear about, or, you know, things that I think that might be relevant to situations that are going on in society today. So we might have just one whole show dedicated to talking about one particular type of topic. So I'm looking for ideas. So if you've got those ideas, let me know. I'm actually looking for a few co-hosts for a few shows here and there to kind of get their opinions on things. So if you might be interested in doing that as well, let me know, because I want to share the Pappy universe with everybody. Well, what's really cool, you know, about some of this going on right now is the fact that, you know, we're being downloaded all over the world right now, which is really cool for me. 10 different countries, not including the U.S. and the 31 states that we've been downloaded in. But what's really cool, I've been downloaded in Bangladesh, the Netherlands, Liberia. So countries that I never thought, you know, Pappy Hour would ever see the light of day in, you know, and here we are. So that's really great. You know, so again, I appreciate all of your support. Now I'm kind of curious, you know, I'm a March Madness fan, but this year will be the first year that I did not do a bracket just because I've got so much going on. But I want to know how many of you already have busted March Madness brackets. I mean, how soon were your brackets busted? Because I know this last weekend we had Kentucky playing, we had Duke playing, and both of those teams lost, and I would have picked them to win. But I'm kind of curious to see if anybody had Michigan State or Texas Tech, you know, going in further. Now I think I want to call this. I think Texas Tech might end up winning this thing. You know, they've been pretty damn impressive. So that's pretty cool. We got some really interesting topics today that I want to cover. We're going to talk about this border shutdown thing that's going on, and how I think it's going to affect the economy, and you know, give you my take on it. Then, of course, you know, the Muller report was released recently, which the Democrats were pushing, saying that there was collusion with Trump and Russia for the elections and all that stuff. So the Muller report's come out. We're going to talk about that. And then there's this really interesting story out of Texas. Sorry about that. So out of Texas, 45 rattlesnakes were removed from underneath somebody's house. So we're going to talk about that. We might even cover a little bit about this thing. I found this interesting topic. You know, it's called United States Fattest Cities. Yeah, there's really a rating for this. And so it's kind of interesting to see, you know, maybe where you live, you know, and where your cities are on this scale here. Then we're going to talk about New Zealand, how they're banned semi-automatic weapons, and how Democrats are going to try to use that against us as law-abiding citizens in the U.S. And then we've got Krispy Kreme. Now, Krispy Kreme donuts is a good one. I really like it. Not my favorite in the world. I like it, but apparently they have ties to the Nazis. So let me explain that to you too. So now I missed the fruit basket last week, and I got called out on that. So I've got to make sure that I stick with letting you know what's going on in the fruit basket. So as you know, Pappy has my own garden going, and so we've got all kinds of things growing out there. We've got onions coming out, we've got celery, soon we're gonna have corn and carrots, so I'm excited. So I'm getting all these fresh vegetables. Say that fast, and that's hard. So I'm getting all these fresh vegetables that are coming up, and they're phenomenal. I let the broccoli grow too long, so believe it or not, if you didn't know, broccoli actually turns into a flower. Then once it does that, you can't eat it. This is disgusting. So I did not know that, and I let the broccoli go a little too long, which is interesting. And then my chickens. So Pappy, as you know, has 6 chickens, and we've got 6 eggs. So I'm really excited about that. So my chickens are starting to lay eggs, and that's awesome for me. So recently went to the Garth Brooks concert in Phoenix, and that was a phenomenal concert. Over 74,000 people were in attendance, and it's said to be the largest crowd in any Arizona stadium for a concert ever. So that was really cool. And last time I got to see Garth Brooks was when It's Busted Jeeber, right before he was born. And so that's back in 95, 96 when I got to see him. And it was much a smaller venue, but amazing concert, awesome performer. So, if you've ever have a chance to see Garth Brooks in concert, I would suggest that that be one that you see in your lifetime. Put that on your bucket list there. So recently saw an interesting movie. My son's always been big on the Purge movies, and I've never seen any of the Purge movies. Now, recently they've on HBO, they've included the first Purge. So it's available there on HBO now. So I decided, well, if I'm going to watch these, I may as well watch the first Purge, which is actually the last one in the newest one in the series. But it tells you how it gets started. So that was really interesting. And you know what? It was crazy. And it was kind of scary, too, and I could see this kind of thing happening in the world. If you haven't seen the movie, and this is a spoiler alert. So try not to spoil it too much, but kind of give you an idea. So a new political party emerges, and that political party ends up winning and becomes their main guy becomes president. So it's the powerful political party at that point. And they decide to try a project where for 24 hours, all crime, it doesn't matter what it is, all crime is legal. And let's just say it gets amazingly chaotic. It was exactly how I would picture the world on the verge of completely going to shit, I guess you could say. And I could see this being a realistic thing. So Pappy stars, I gave it 4 out of 5. So if you get a chance to watch it, it's kind of interesting, especially if you're like Pappy and you are, kind of a prepper. You stock up on firearms and ammunition, food, and all that stuff, and you're always worried about protecting people and your family. So this is one of those you might want to check out. It gives you ideas too. So, all right. So there's a possible border shutdown coming out now. I live in Arizona, which, if you don't know, which you should, but if you don't know, our southern border is Mexico. And there's been a threat made by Trump that he's going to be shutting down the border if Mexico and some of the other South American countries can't get control of their people that are trying to, they're doing those caravans that are coming up to the U.S. and trying to seek asylum, because they say that it's a little too overwhelming, and we've had more numbers than we've ever had before try to seek asylum at this point. And the problem with that, though, is when they come in, they try to seek asylum, they get released out on the streets because there's no place to hold them here. We actually have a Greyhound bus station here in the Phoenix area, and beside that is a construction site or a dirt lot. And there's thousands of people that have been dropped off that were seeking asylum, camping out in this area. And, it was kind of interesting to think that the government was expecting Greyhound Bus to house these people inside their terminal, which, they're a business. They're not a government operation, so why should they have to? So, so I've been thinking about this border shutdown thing, and I'm wondering, if they're even giving any type of thought or consideration to the outcome financially and what it's going to do to the average American citizen. Now, I'm not talking like, the upper class, rich people that, they can afford to go out and buy a $10 banana. I'm talking about us middle class, lower class people that, we have budgets that we've got to stick with. And sometimes, our food budgets are a little lower than they should be. But did you ever wonder exactly how much fruit and vegetables actually come in from Mexico? So if they shut down this border, okay, I'm not necessarily worried about, car parts or, clothing or, sporting goods, stuff like that coming in over the border. I'm more worried about the food because that's what we need to sustain, more so. And so they say that nearly 40% of imported fruits and vegetables come from Mexico right now. But I bet you didn't know that about 100% of avocados in the U.S. right now at this stage of our year, dealing with winter into spring, actually come from Mexico. And it's said that if they shut down this border, avocados will be completely gone in the United States within 3 weeks, unless you privately grow your own, which I hear it's a difficult thing. And California does grow avocados, but their crop is not going to be anywhere near ready. So when it does come ready, prices are going to be through the roof. I wouldn't be surprised if you see $5-6 each on an avocado. I mean, ridiculous pricings. Now, the food prices obviously are going to rise, and it's going to be across the board. It's not just going to be fruits and vegetables, because some of those foods include fruits and vegetables, like canned foods, and stuff like that. And then some of these fruits and vegetables might be used for farming, for feeding animals. So, of course, that's going to go through the roof. And they say that tomatoes, cucumbers, and chili peppers, which are basically all coming from Mexico right now, are going to be overly expensive. And then don't forget, that also includes majority of, and then what was it they said, like 90% of all strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are imported right now. Now, I do have a strawberry bush, or a couple of them in my backyard, in my vegetable garden, and I have no strawberries on there. So I know that right now it's not strawberry season here, but it's strawberry season down there. So all those strawberries are coming up, raspberries, blackberries, and so those prices are going to go through the roof. But then we also have a fuel issue. Now, Arizona right now is kind of seeing a fuel shortage already, even without this border thing. And with our fuel shortage is we have a winter gas and then we have a summer gas. And this is when we start switching. So we have companies like Circle K, even Fry's, are running out of gas right now because they're not getting that supply as fast as they should. So shutting down the border here, we get diesel and regular fuel imported by rail from Mexico. Now, it's unclear right now if the railroads will be affected with this, but gas prices are going to shoot up through the roof again to make it almost impossible for anybody to get gas. I mean, I remember we had that fuel shortage years ago where, it was like $6, $7, $8 a gallon for gas. So that was crazy. But I'm concerned, yes, vegetables, but then there's one other huge commodity that Pappy needs that comes out of Mexico: tequila. I need to stock up because, I need my margaritas. So I'm just saying, so if you're a margarita drinker, it might be time to stock up. Okay. Now, it's said that an average of 15,000 trucks and 1.6 billion with a B worth of goods cross the southern border each day. So that's 15,000 semis going back and forth, transporting food, vegetables, other goods. Okay. So it might be a good idea to start thinking about maybe planting your own garden, so that you can have some stuff that Arizona is able to grow. Lettuce is a good one. It did have really good romaine lettuce yield in my yard. Broccoli keeps coming back. It's like a weed, which is really good. Celery grows great. There's all those little things, chili peppers, all that stuff. So it might be a good idea to think about, planting yourself a little garden, but definitely stock up. I would stock up on some canned, vegetables and fruits right now, just to be on the safe side in case if we do get that shutdown, because it could take months, maybe even a year or two for the economy to actually restabilize, because it's all about, the government about sticking it to the man. So they figure if they force their hand and shut that border down, Mexico is going to rethink about how they let these migrants just come through their country. I don't know. I think they're going to do more damage than good to the U.S. economy. So now we had the Muller report. Muller, whatever. So we had the report come out. Okay, that's the collusion report that the Democrats were trying to say Trump colluded with Russia. Okay. Now, I believe this to be the absolute biggest waste of money and time since Trump has been in office, used by the Democrats to try to prove something that doesn't exist. So we had 22 months of work, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 search warrants. They obtained more than 230 orders for communication records. That would be your phone records, your cell phone records, and stuff like that. 13 requests for foreign governments for evidence. They interviewed about 500 witnesses, and there were 19 lawyers working on this case. And guess what they found? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. A complete waste of money. And they said it was like 300 pages of report. And so what they did was they condensed it and released out the condensed version. And so now the Democrats are definitely not happy with that. And they automatically are saying that the Muller report, Muller is not impartial. He is one of Trump's buddies or something like that. So they're saying that this whole thing was false. This whole thing was fake. And they're yelling conspiracies left and right. But what they say, though, is the full report has not been released. And it hasn't even been made, public to Congress, which is interesting. Just a drafted synopsis of the report was released by the Attorney General, William Barr. So the United States Attorney General read over this thing. He read all 300 pages, and he came to his own conclusion. And then he even said there's nothing in here that says Trump colluded with Russia. Okay? So Trump has already said, you know what, release the whole report. I don't care, because there's nothing for me to hide. So, it might be interesting to see if that happens. So Chuck Schumer, he's the Senate minority leader, and the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi are complaining, saying that Barr himself is not a neutral observer and that he's not in a position to make objective determinations about the report. They want a Democrat to do that. So then how would that be impartial as well, or a neutral observer? I don't get it. I mean, there's really no way of getting what the Democrats would call a neutral observer in this. But the dude's the U.S. Attorney General. He's like the highest of the high under the Supreme Court. And he finds nothing. I doubt he's going to risk getting himself in trouble with Trump, because he sees everybody else getting in trouble with Trump. I doubt he's going to do that. I really do. I mean, maybe it's time the Democrats stop wasting money and start working on fixing the economy versus, these BS reports that Trump colluded. Okay, now it is proven, though, that the Democrat side with Hillary Clinton, actually tried to collude. So, if they really want to go in, maybe they should investigate their own party before they start, threatening other parties and stuff like that. I'm just saying. All right, so we have a house in Texas. Okay, this is creepy. Okay, so these Texas homeowners thought that there were just a few snakes under their home. Okay, the owner of the home was having an issue with his cable. Now, apparently the cable line runs underneath the house, so he thought maybe a rat or something had chewed on the wire, so he decided to climb under the house. That's error number one, because I wouldn't climb under no house. Sorry. Okay? Even if it was like snowed in all the way around and I'm up in the Antarctica or something, I still wouldn't, because I'd be afraid there'd be something under there trying to stay warm. So that's just me. So he climbs under the house to try to fix it. And then he sees a few snakes. Just a few. So he gets himself out right away. He realizes they're rattlesnakes. And so he gets out and calls the snake removal company. They come out and they find 45 snakes underneath this dude's house. Okay, now I tried to watch the video. Okay, snakes already, they freak me the hell out already. Snakes and lizards, okay? It doesn't matter if it's that little gecko that sits outside my front door. I'm afraid of him, because as far as I'm concerned, he's Godzilla. But I'm just saying, snakes already freak me out. So I couldn't even watch this video of these people pulling out these snakes. I mean, it was, okay. The largest snake that they pulled out of that house was 5.5 feet long. Okay, Pappy is 6'3", 6'4". So that's a long freaking snake. Now, I've heard of longer rattlesnakes than that. But that, oh, hell no. So the owners of the home say they see a few each year in their yard, but their yard is also very well kept clean. So they don't have a lot of brush. They don't have, piles of wood and, places for snake dens to really come in. And, so they thought it was odd that there were 45. Now, the company that did the removal say that they've removed the year before from a different house in the same area 88 snakes. 88. Okay. This is my take. Hell no. That's right. It might be a time and place to burn your house down. That's it. Get your stuff out and go. I mean, I know I live in the desert. I'm thankful my house is in the ground versus above in the ground, like the slabs on the ground. It's not a lifted house like some of these other ones, are. Thankful for that. I always worry about snakes getting into my yard, and there's no way to snake-proof a yard. So, I have to really, really watch my yard because I've got two littles running around now, and it scares the hell out of me. So please, everybody out there, teach your children to stay away from all snakes that are out in the wild until you have them tell you right away if they see a snake, and have it professionally removed. And if you're not a professional, you've never removed a snake, do not try it. Okay, that's my little disclosure there. So that way, if you try to remove a snake and you can't say, well, Pappy told me. Now, Pappy ain't tell you shit. Okay, you need to call somebody. Okay, I can tell you right now, I would scream like a girl, run in and grab my gun. But unfortunately, since I live in the city, I can't fire that gun. But it's going to be in my hand just in case if I need to while they're removing the snake. So, and then even after that, I'm still going to be freaked out knowing that there was one in my yard. So that's just it. Now, there's been a report that's come out that I kind of find really interesting. It talks about the fattest cities in the United States. So, yeah, I mean, seriously, there's a recording. So, according to Wallet Hub, they have compiled a list, okay? They have compared 100 of the most populated U.S. cities or the U.S. areas across 19 key indicators of weight-related problems. It's claimed that the U.S. is the fattest in the world. They say that almost 40% of the U.S. population aged 15 and over is actually considered obese. Now, I don't get where they get that, because most people to me look average. You know, I'd rather be looking average than looking skin and bones, where if I swallow a grain of rice, you're going to see it poking out the side of my neck. Just saying. Okay, I like my carbs. I like my meat. You know, I'm sorry, but, you know, it's just eating consideration. Now, they do claim that one of the biggest issues with the United States being so big is we have so many fast food restaurants everywhere. And that could be true. That could be true. But they can't say it's all about the carbs. It's all, you know, about fatty foods, because a lot of these other countries, that's all they have. You know, like you look at Asian countries that eat tons of rice, and then sometimes they use lard to fix their food. And their food's not necessarily the lean foods. It's what they can get. So I get it. But then they're skinny as hell. So it's like, what are we doing? Is it the air? Is it the water? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a conspiracy that we need to talk about on Conspiracies with Pappy, why the U.S. might be the fattest. I don't know. Just saying. So anyways, I'm just going to read the top 10. Because reading out all 100 is going to be way too long. And I know you love hearing my voice, but I only have an hour for each show. So, you know, we'll keep it short. So the first state, okay, let's start with number 10. We'll start with number 10 and we'll work our way to number 1. Okay, so it's Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, in South Carolina. Number 9, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Number 8, Toledo, Ohio. Number 7, Knoxville, Tennessee. I knew them country boys were big. I'm just saying, country, it's all about cowboy stuff. Number 6, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Number 5, Mobile, Alabama. Number 4, Jackson, Missouri. Number 3, Memphis, Tennessee. Number 2, Shreveport, Louisiana. Number 1, McAllen, Edinburgh, Mission in Texas. Okay, so I'm curious. You know, I see Tennessee, Missouri, Alabama, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Louisiana, Georgia, all kind of like right there. I wonder, you know, if it's, you know, fried foods or whatnot. I mean, I'm curious to see what kind of foods are staple out there. I mean, I'm from Ohio, so I can't, you know, tell you exactly what food was a major staple for us in Ohio, where I'm from. I mean, I can remember eating just about everything and not any one particular thing more than the other. But that is really interesting facts there. But I don't know about you, but I can afford to lose a few pounds. Just a few. I don't necessarily say I need to, but, you know, maybe it's we sit around too much, watching too much TV, playing too many video games nowadays, you know, and we're creatures of comfort. We are. But maybe get back out there, do some hiking, which is something that I'm trying to do. And, you know, it's, you know, explore our country, learn about your country, learn about the area you live in. You know, get out, explore, walk around, get your steps in. Just saying, that's my take. All right, so New Zealand recently has put a gun ban in, and I see the Democrats trying to use this. Now, next week, or the next episode, that I'm going to talk about, we're going to talk about gun control a bit, you know, and because, like I said, we're kind of pushing the format around a little bit. But gun control is something that I'm very, very, very strong about, because I am pro Second Amendment, left and right, up and down, you know, 360, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I am pro Second Amendment. And if you know me, and if anybody tries to say, well, you don't need, you know, guns for this, that, this, you're right, we don't need it, but we have it in case we need it. So, and I can argue all day long. And matter of fact, I don't care how many points somebody that's pro-gun control versus pro-gun, which is me, I don't care how many points you got, I will come out on top 100% of the time, because I do not give up when it comes to my rights. Just saying. So anyways, it's a known fact. Democrats have wanted to ban semi-automatic weapons in the U.S. for years. And they've really been attacking it more so lately. Okay. So leading Democrats are praising New Zealand's prime minister for immediately banning military-style semi-automatic weapons after the attack that killed 50 people in 2 mosques. Okay, now their idea of military-style weapons, to the Democrat, or in the government-wise, it's not necessarily every Democrat, but what they try to use, anything that's semi-automatic. So it could be handguns, it could be, rifles, all that. That's what they're trying to say, military style, okay? Not just AR-15s or, AK-47s, stuff like that, 30-06. They're saying anything that's semi-automatic, so I call BS on that. Senator Bernie Sanders, okay, and Representative, I love this lady, she's so fun to make fun of, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I'm just going to say again, AOC, were among a crowd of progressive voices who celebrated the Prime Minister's announcement that they are also using it to call for stricter gun control in the U.S. So Sanders, he decides to say that this is what real action to stop gun violence looks like. Is he freaking kidding me? Seriously, does he think that's going to stop gun violence? Guy's a freaking tool. Does he think that crime will just stop if semi-automatic weapons are banned? Hell no. It's actually probably going to increase. Just saying. Does he think that Americans will willingly hand over their weapons and agree to allow their rights to bear arms be infringed on? Well, I know that ain't nobody coming through my door to take my guns without a fight. That's probably one of the things I will proudly go to jail if I have to defend. And I'll defend it for every person in the United States, the right to bear arms. Because the criminal element does not care about your gun-free zones. He does not care about your rights. He does not care about your safety. He does not care about your family's safety. The only person that can care about your safety and your family's safety is you. So you have the right to defend your family, yourself, others around you. Matter of fact, I find it an obligation as a United States citizen to protect the people around me. Maybe that's why I'm in the security industry, because I feel obligated that I've got to increase awareness that there is no such thing as a safe gun zone anywhere. Just think about it. The mosques, churches, they're gun-free zones. Guess what happens? A lot of shootings. Schools, gun-free zones. Guess what? A lot of shootings. Now, I'm not saying, hey, let's have everybody carry guns to schools. I have children. I have 2 littles, and they're going to be going to kindergarten and all that, soon. So what do we need? Do we need armed security, armed police officers? Matter of fact, I would personally pay to have armed security at my kids' schools, just because that way I know I'm doing something to make my children's school safer. I would love to educate those kids, educate those parents on what they can do to help make school safety. Matter of fact, I think I have a good buddy of mine named Robert Solers, and he is a really good person to talk about workplace violence, gun safety, and stuff like that. And I think bringing him in might be a good thing to talk about what we can do, from a person and a citizen's perspective on what we can do to fix that. I just don't think that we're going to be as easy as New Zealand and come over and drop off our guns to local police stations. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of police stations and sheriff's officers that are not going to enforce this, which I've already seen and read and heard many of them saying that they won't. Reasons just like this that the Democrats are proposing are exactly why we need that Second Amendment. Okay, we have the right as a U.S. citizen to, because it is to keep the government from becoming too, lots of words right there, powerful. Okay, and that's what the forefathers intended it for. It also intended it for us to be able to protect our country from foreign invasion, from protect our house from criminal acts and all that. But, if you think about it, even if there was a gun ban, criminals will get them. They will make them. If you're going to get rid of guns, then you're going to need to get rid of, spoons because they make people fat, pencils because they misspell words, or how about getting rid of beer because it makes people, slow when they drink or, impaired. There's just so many, things that affect other people, just like guns. It's not the guns that kill people, it's the people that kill people. Now, that's why we need people, a well-armed militia, like the Second Amendment calls, to protect our personal rights. Okay, and if that means protecting our rights from our own government, then that's what's going to happen. But I can tell you right now, and you're hearing it here, if they enact something like this, I honestly, without a doubt, wholeheartedly believe that the U.S. will go into a civil war. It will be a huge conflict within the U.S., and then the U.S. is done. It will break up. People will not hand over their guns. And if anybody does hand over their guns, they deserve to be beaten. I'm sorry, because if you just willingly hand over your safety of yourself, your family, and those around you, man, I don't know. I mean, if anybody wants to argue with me on this, please check it out on the app. You can email me through the app. You can email me through our Facebook page. It's Pappy Hour. You can even reach at me on my email, which is ryanispappy00@gmail.com, and let's set up an interview. Let's talk. Let's argue. Again, I'll come up on top. Just saying. So, maybe the Democrats don't understand the Second Amendment the way it's supposed to be. Now, I guess everybody interprets it a different way. But, I think that they're looking at it as, well, they had muzzle loading guns back then. So that the Second Amendment only covers muzzle loading guns. Well, guess what? That was the gun at the time. That was the arms at the time. Well, today's arms are different. So we have that, it says arms. It does not say muzzle loading arms. It says arms. So that could mean any type of gun, as far as I'm concerned. That's my interpretation, and that's the interpretation I see from a lot of people. So I'm just saying, but if you're against guns and a crime is happening to you, don't call 911. Don't do it. Don't run to a friend with a gun. Don't do it. Because they are what you stand against. Okay. Pick up a stick to defend yourself. Get on your knees and pray. Because that's the only chance you're going to have. Just saying. Alrighty. Moving on. Just, I'm starting to get passionate about that. I want to start yelling, screaming, and hollering. But, yeah. Alright. Krispy Kreme. Okay. The family that owns well-known consumer brands like Krispy Kreme, Keurig, Dr. Pepper, and Panera Bread say their Nazi ancestors used slave labor during World War II in their factories. Okay, so I'm going to say the Remeron family, one of the richest in Germany, in which owns controlling stake of JAB Holdings, JAB Holdings, stated Albert Ryman, okay, so it's Ryman, not Ryman, Ryman Sr., who died in 1954, and Albert Ryman Jr., who died in 1984, they used Russian civilian prisoners and French prisoners of war as forced labor in their factories during the war. And they were strong supporters of Adolf Hitler. An investigation also found that Ryman Sr. donated thousands and thousands of dollars to Hitler's parliamentary SS force as early as 1931. So he was a big fan of Hitler from the get-go. JAB Holdings has reported that they are so ashamed the fact that Ryman Sr. and Jr. were criminals and should have been in prison. Now, JAB Holdings also owns other companies like Pete's Coffee, Einstein's Bagels, and Coty, C-O-T-Y, Coty, which is a big makeup company. But most of its best-known brands were actually acquired in the last few years. So here's my take on this, okay, because this is interesting. Unfortunately, we cannot control the actions of our ancestors. Okay? We can only control our current actions, our own. And we must shape our own destiny and correct that course of action. Okay? And it's extremely sad that any business during World War II ever made any money off of slave labor. Now, it is known that Porsche, VW, there was some other electronic companies, IBM, stuff like that, were forced in Germany to, I think it was IBM. Not 100% sure on that one, but I'm pretty sure. They were forced to contribute to the war. But then again, they made lots and lots of money. And it's sad. But then at the same time, today, I'm pretty sure I've got ancestors, that did things that weren't necessarily the greatest in the world. I am a Hatfield. We had the Hatfields-McCoys War, so there was a lot of killing back and forth. That's not necessarily as bad as World War II and slave labor and stuff, but I don't necessarily know my history past that, and where we are. But I could tell you that, I feel for the family now because this is going to affect their business. Huge. Now, I did hear that they are going to be downloading a huge, couple $1 million or something like that to a Holocaust educational group or something like that. So I applaud them for that because they realize and they've admitted it's bad, but at the same time, that's where they made their money. That's where their money comes from. But there are a lot of businesses all over the world that make tons of money off of wars and have made tons of money off of previous wars. Some of those wars made them rich like they are today. So, it's sad, but it's just one of those things in the world. So that's my take. Now I get to rant. Okay, I've been ranting about this jerk-off for a little while. His name's Jussie Smullett. Okay, he's the actor in Chicago that stages a fake hate crime against himself. Wastes massive time that the Chicago Police Department could have been using to actually work on real crimes. There's plenty of evidence. It's without a doubt, the burden of proof is there. The prosecutors, he's guilty. And then all of a sudden, the charges are dropped. WTF, people? What the hell? So Cook County states the attorney's office hasn't explained why, after reviewing the case facts, that Smullett, his charges were dropped. Now, he did agree to forfeit his $10,000 bond, which is ridiculous. And then his case is being sealed. Why? So let me get this straight. See if I got this. So, plenty of evidence. And I do believe it innocent until proven guilty. But the evidence and the facts were overwhelming. And the charges are dropped. And then it's sealed. That proves right there the money talks. Now, it's said that, and I'm probably going to get, backlash for this, and I've heard it too from people in Chicago that live in Chicago. I've heard it from lawyers in Chicago that the Chicago system is corrupt. Hey, now, is this further proof that it is? All of a sudden it is sealed and, without any doubt, he's guilty. It's sad. 16 felony charges. It's a sad day in America. It embarrasses me for someone that believes in our system, and believes that truth really will come out when it's time. But then, okay, show us why he's not being charged, why they were dropped. I'm starting to wonder if this guy, is best buds with Jussie Smollett, the Attorney General, decides to drop the case, seal the records, or how much money did he collect? This is pretty snaky. So that's my opinion. That's my rant. All right, so my story of the week. This last weekend was my daughter's first soccer game, Team T-Rex. Okay, 4 and 5 year olds running around Pee Wee soccer, and I was so excited. I'm like, she's finally going to play soccer. Practices have been okay. She's not necessarily very aggressive yet, but I think she's still learning the process of soccer and what it's about. And, I got her to play a little bit. She'd rather sit on the sidelines and, drink and eat snacks. But got her to play a little bit. It took me a while to get her to run. She just stood there for, a while. But then the coach let me go out there on the field because the coach gets to run around with the kids. And I got her to run and kind of get involved with that. But I'm hoping that she gets more into it, as time goes on. But it was a lot of fun watching those kids. I really had a great time. And, they did lose, but it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to keep you guys up to date with my 4-year-old soccer world, becoming a soccer star, and my soccer dadness. Just saying. I found this meme though, this just a couple days ago, that I threw into the show, and I thought it was hella funny. And it's based off of the music Total Eclipse of My Heart. Now, I'm not going to sing this, but it might sound sing-songy when I say it. And, you can thank me later because the original song is going to get stuck in your head after listening to this. But here, listen to the words and picture the music of Total Eclipse of My Heart, okay? Once upon a time, I was healthy and young, but now my body's falling apart. Nothing I can do. I totally shit when I fart. I thought it was hilarious. So that's my story of the week. Now we got my random thoughts. Okay, these are going to make you mind blown. Okay, I need to know, and maybe somebody that drives one of these things can answer this for me. But how does the guy that drives the snowplow get to work? Right? If you got to have the snowplow to get the streets open so people can drive by, how does that guy get to work to get to the snowplow? Or does he take the snowplow home? Right? I know, right? It's like mind blown. Okay. If a cow laughed, would the milk come up its nose? Yeah. And then, isn't it a bit unnerving that doctors call what they do a practice? Just saying. So, again, we're wrapping up the show now at this point, and I really want to, thank you guys for listening to another wonderful hour of Pappy Hour. And, I'm hoping that the information I brought you was, entertaining for you, and hopefully my points, kind of made some sense. And if you have questions, let me know. I'm still looking for, people to send me stuff on the Ask Pappy segments. I haven't gotten any of those in a while on what my point of view on things are. So hopefully somebody, we get one of you guys to send something in. Now, I do want to ask you all a question. Have you guys listened to Conspiracies with Pappy yet? That was the first show that I did on my conspiracy levels. Just about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it was in the beginning of March. And it was about the Denver International Airport and this conspiracy surrounding it with the New World Order. How the Nazis are involved. The statue that they have and how it killed its maker and stuff like that. If you haven't listened to it, please check it out. Okay. But here's something that's really cool. Really, really cool. You can listen to it on my app, Google Play and iTunes. That way you can carry me around with you everywhere you go. And if you're feeling, you need some sound advice, somebody that's preaching common sense and stuff, You can open it up, listen to my voice anytime you want. Go back and listen to old shows, all that stuff. And then you've got your hashtag happiness. Okay. Now, I'm still working on some ideas for my next conspiracy show, and I'm kind of torn. I'm debating whether or not to work on the JFK assassination, or if I want to work on a topic that a lot of people might get a little pissy with, which is why I might lean towards this one, was Jesus actually married? Was he married? Did he have a child? Okay. Is it such a bad thing? So I've got those two different ideas. If you could maybe chime in, shoot me a message and let me know which one you think might be the best of the two to go with right now. That would be awesome. So I want to thank you guys again for being with me another week. Episode 13 is coming to a close. I want you guys to take care of each other, be safe, and enjoy your families. Have a good one.
You don't like our traditions. You say we've done you wrong. Why don't you pack up your bags and take your ass back home? This is my home, and son, I'm mad as hell. I think whooping your ass is worth a couple nights in jail. There's a million pissed off rednecks just like me, and we're all sick and tired of this bullshit called PC. I guess you didn't know, but you don't mess with gently. If you have a right to burn my flag, then I have a right to kick your ass.